We're going to continue with Chapter 2, the counting methods. Looking at Chapter 2, Section 2.2, solve problems that involve permutations. In this lesson, we will look at solving factorial equations. Just a review on factorial notation. 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 can be represented by 5 factorial. A factorial is a concise representation of the product of consecutive descending natural numbers. For example, 7 factorial is equal to 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 5,040. Most calculators have the factorial button. It is an exclamation point. Simplifying algebraic factorial expressions. N factorial is n times n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3, and so on, where n is a natural number. N plus 3 factorial is n plus 3, n plus 2, n plus 1, n minus 1, n minus 2, and so on. If we were simplifying a factorial expression of n plus 2 factorial over n factorial, we simplify n plus 2 factorial to be n plus 2, n plus 1, n factorial. We would stop there since we can cancel the common factors of n factorial and n factorial, leaving us with n plus 2 times n minus 1. Using a method of multiplying binomials, we have n squared plus n plus 2n plus 2, or n squared plus 3n plus 2. Recall there are undefined factorials. A factorial is a concise representation of the product of consecutive descending natural numbers. 4 factorial is defined, yet 0.5 factorial, 1/4 factorial, and -3 factorial is not defined. Keep in mind, 0 factorial is equal to 1. Solving factorial equations. We're going to use our strategies for simplifying factorial expressions to help us solve factorial equations. Once again, we can rewrite n minus 1 factorial to be n minus 1, n minus 2 factorial. And then these are common. We're left with n minus 1 equals 6, which will give us n equals 7. We have to be aware and make sure that n is defined. For example, 7 subtract 1 factorial is 6 factorial, which is defined. And 7 subtract 2 factorial is 5 factorial, which is defined. Let's look at another example. We'll rewrite n plus 3 factorial to be n plus 3 times n plus 2 times n plus 1 factorial. We can cancel n plus 1 factorials, and we're left with n plus 3 times n plus 2 equals 20. Multiplying these binomials, we get n squared plus 5n plus 6 would equal 20. In order to solve this quadratic equation, we will move the 20 to the other side and let this side equal to 0. Using a method or strategy for solving or for solving quadratic equations, we can factor. This quadratic is factorable, and it factors to be n subtract 2, n plus 7. You could also use the quadratic formula, yet it is more convenient to factor in this case. N equals 2, and n equals -7. we must make sure that there are no inadmissible values, that are values that would make it undefined. For this, we have 2 plus 3 factorial, which is 5 factorial. It's good. 2 plus 1 factorial, which is 3 factorial, and that is okay. Negative 7, on the other hand, if n equaled negative 7, that would give us negative 7 plus 3 factorial, which is negative 4 factorial, and that is undefined. Therefore, we must reject this one. Let's have a look at another example. We have n plus 1 factorial is n plus 1 times n minus 1. Of course, these will cancel out again. That gives us n outside of n plus 1 equals 6. Making one side of the equation equal to 0 and factoring, using a method of factoring, we can see that n will equal negative 3 and n will equal 2. Yet if we look at n equals negative 3 plus 1 factorial will give us negative 2 factorial, which is not defined. Therefore, we must reject. It is an inadmissible value. N equals 2, we will have 2 plus 1 factorial, which gives us 3 factorial. That's okay. It's defined. And we have 2 subtract 1 factorial, which is 1 factorial, and that is also defined. 2 is our answer. In summary, a factorial expression can represent the number of permutations of a set of n different objects, that is n factorial, where n must be a natural number. We have to watch out for the undefined factorials. We can simplify factorial expressions and use this to help us solve factorial equations. The n equation may be a linear, where there's only one answer for n, one possible answer for n, or a quadratic, in which there are 2 possible answers for n. And be aware of undefined values of n and reject those values, inadmissible values.